Hello everyone. So today I'm going to be introducing OOTI, talking about who we are, what we do, and also showing you around the software itself, giving you an overview, a good overview of the software, and all of the functionalities of what it offers. So first of all, how did Uti come along? So it began actually from kind of a family project. There was a need in terms of the management of an agency, an interior designer agency, and it quickly began to bring a lot of interest around it. Some of the colleagues of this agency were potentially interested in what Uti had to offer. So we identified the need in the market for such software, and we began developing it in 2017. So it's been around for a few years now. And yeah, so now we have a rather solid product, which I'm going to be obviously. So we're based in Paris, and we've been working on the French market for all those years now. And we're very much interested in bringing OOTI to the UK, as obviously there is a lot of potential in the UK, a lot of architects working in the UK, and we believe we could bring a lot of added values to any potential agencies within the UK. So I'm going to be taking the lead in the UK development for OOTI. So if there is a need to come and to London or any other cities in the UK to do any demos of the software itself, then we'll be more than happy to do that. We're also quite international company. Max, our CEO, is half French, half American, so obviously speaks very good English. And we also have people that speak obviously French, Spanish, Polish, Italian, and German. Um, so yeah, that's a bit more about us, and about the product itself. It's really something that we've built with architects for architects, and we've co-built it in a way and taken in all the information from what our customers needed. Obviously, choosing what is more important at first, but now we've managed to build a really solid product with all the feedback that we've had throughout the years with our customers. So I'm just going to show you around the product itself, the software OOTI, which is a web app. So here you go. So you should be able to see my screen now. So this is the dashboard. So this is the first page that you will see when you will log in into OOTI. And so this will give you an overview of the time logged, your billables, any unpaid invoices. You'll also be able to see an overview of the financial summary, your project planning, and that's about it. And then OOTI is split into two tabs in terms of project management. So it's split under opportunities and projects. So when you begin to work on an opportunity, you're not necessarily, you're not 100% sure that you're going to sign it. Hopefully you will, but this just lets you, still use OOTI before actually having the project signed. So we're going to go ahead and create an opportunity together. So here you can see you have different stages, which you're going to be able to customize yourself. And you're going to it's kind of your pipeline. So you're going to be able to move along your projects depending on how things are going. So yeah, so we're just going to create a project. So London hotel. The project ID is going to be what you decide to call it. Let's say London 1, if you have anything internally that you'd rather use just for your own knowledge, really, but it's not mandatory. Then obviously you're gonna put it into one of the stages which you would have customized. So let's say you're making you're just waiting for validation, and then you're gonna go ahead and create your client. So let's say that this is for Mandarin Oriental. Here, client ID is same as the ID I was talking about earlier. Yeah, it's just for your own reference. Um, let's just say one. And then your currency for the project. And then here, you're gonna put the address, which is gonna be, what's gonna be important here is the layout of the address, because this is how it's gonna show on any invoices. So let's say 50 Knightsbridge SW1 London. Obviously, that's not accurate, but just to give you an idea of what it looks like. And then here, you're going to be able to add the company number of your client in that field. So I'm just going to put the address here. There we go. And this is going to be in English. Yeah, what's important for the start and end date, it's going to be how your schedule is going to look like from start to finish. So it's important to enter the accurate dates. Obviously, that's something that you're going to be able to change later down the line, but just make sure you enter the correct dates. So let's say that this one's going to start on the 1st of October, and it's going to finish in July 2024. And here you're going to be able to allocate all of your colleagues that are going to be working on the project. So let's say that Alex is going to be working on it, Adrien, and I. And then you can allocate as many of your collaborators as you'd like. And then here you're going to be able to customize your tags as well. So you just click manage tags here, and you're going to be able to create your own tags depending on how you'd like to filter your opportunities and projects. So let's say this is going to be private and housing, and we're going to click save. Here we have our London hotel, which has just been created with a probability of 19%. Obviously, that's because we put it in the waiting for validation step, which has a 90% likeliness of being signed. That's also something you're going to be able to manage just here when you create your stages. You're going to be able to add your probability of it being signed. So here you have your London hotel opportunity. So we're just going to go to it, and that's where that's what you're gonna see every time you access an opportunity or a project. The page is gonna look exactly the same. It's just gonna be in the opportunity tab instead of being in the project tab. But when it does move eventually to project, if the project gets signed, you will see the exact same things with the same tabs. So that's how it will look like. Just to give you a quick, a better idea of what it would look like, we're just going to take a project which has some data inside. So we're going to go ahead and take the enter more and enter the project. So here, you're going to have your fees and you're going to be able to make a proposal Obviously, we're at the opportunity stage, so there's still a lot to be worked on before it actually gets to the project part. And you're going to be able to put your different phases here, depending on what you use. So it could be, just to give you a quick overview, when you're going to create it, it's going to look like this, obviously under review, and you're going to be able to enter all of the information depending on what you have for the particular project. Um, you're going to be able to build your models of phases, or you can just use them again. This is just an example, obviously, but you're going to be able to enter whatever you'd like to see here. And you can then save it to use it later down the line for other projects. You're also going to be able to add co-contractors to your phases if you're working with any. You're also going to be able to use subcontractors. So you just click here, activate that, and the subcontractor tab is going to be added, and you're going to be able to create any subcontractors right here, add them, and then you're just going to be able to split your phases across your core contractors and subcontractors. And bring it back to valid. Just before that, anything which is underlined in OOTI is changeable. So if you change your fees here, your percentage is going to automatically be calculated. And then if you change the percentage, your fees are going to be automatically calculated. So everything adds up correctly. So we're going to switch it back to a valid. There we go. And here you're going to be able to make your proposal. So we're just going to take this one for instance. So we're going to go ahead and create one ourselves. Then proposal templates. Okay, here we go. Proposal. So here, that's something that's going to be totally customizable. And you're going to be able to customize it with variables so that once you've actually completely built it, you're just going to have to enter the information which belongs to the project itself. And then every time the variables are going to change depending on the information which you will have entered. So you just have to actually build your proposal once with all the variables that are here. So you can really enter as much information as you need, and obviously your usual layout of proposal, but you just have to include the variables to make it, look like you've made the whole proposal. But it's automatically gonna change every single time depending on which project you are in. And then in the end, so here we've entered organization's name, city and address, and the project photo. And then if we take a look here at the preview, so we've got the photo, we've got obviously there's no photo for the project itself, but we've got our logo, which will be something that you'll be able to set up in your settings when you set up an account. And yeah, you can just make that as customizable as you'd like. That's obviously going to save you a lot of time on your proposals. So let's say we've made the proposal and we've signed the project. So we're just going to click here and we are going to change the stage to signed, and we're going to save it. So now my opportunity has switched to the project tab and it's marked as signed. So we're just going to select another project which has more data inside. So housing Paris, for example. So here, this is obviously the exact same page as what we've seen in the opportunities tab, as I mentioned. And here it's going to give you an overview of the whole project. So you're going to have your project timeline, any relative information about the project itself, your collaborators which are working on the project, and the progress of the progress in terms of billables. Then you're gonna have the status of each of your phases, a little map of where the project is located, and then also the time. So this is something that we're obviously, I'm gonna show you all these kind of doable things on OOTI. So we're just gonna start with the piece. So that's something that we've just seen in the opportunities tab. Then the timeline is how you decide to, put your phases across. So that's something that you can change. You can move them. You can extend them if they're taking longer. So that's for you to have a clear overview of what's going on. You're also gonna be able to add any milestones if there is anything happening at any specific dates. So let's say example one, and that's gonna be in November. And then I've got my example one, which just appeared here. So we can keep a good view of what's happening if there is anything important happening here. Then you're gonna be able to have your budget timeline, and then you have also your resources timeline depending on your colleagues' availability in terms of their time off and what phases they're working on that particular project. So then you've got the progress. So that's something you're going to be able to use as a way of invoicing. So if you'd like to invoice depending on the progress of each phase, you're going to be able to do that here and change the progress of each phase depending on what's happening really. And then that's something you're going to be able to find in your invoices later down the line. So here, let's say that we want to create an invoice. So we go ahead here, we start production. And here we're obviously going to be able to build the phases which we haven't already built because they're invoiced. So these have already been invoiced, so they're not included here, but we've just made progress on the one that we've just changed in the progress tab. So this is the amount that's now billable, and now you've got your invoice here. So obviously this is something that you're going to be able to customize completely depending on what you'd like your invoice to look like. So you're going to be able to add like your logo, any relative information to your company as well. It's going to be able to, you're going to be able to make it look just as what your usual invoices would look like. And then, yeah, so once that's all good to go, you're happy with your invoice, you're going to mark it as valid. And that's going to go ahead and save your invoice, and you're not going to be able to make any amendments to your invoice anymore. So then if you want to send it, there's two different options. Either you connect your email to OOTI, and then you're going to be able to send it directly from OOTI, adding an email to it, and it's going to attach the invoice and send it directly without having to download it and then send it as a separate email. That's for you to decide. You just have both options on OOTI. Considering that our email is not set up on the account, we're just going to go ahead and mark it as sent. And then we would just download the invoice and send it in a separate email. So that's what the invoice looks like. Once, let's say we receive payments, not usually as fast as this, but let's say we did by transfer, and you're going to be able to either enter the whole amount, which is what appears automatically. But if there is any partial payments, which can happen sometimes, you're going to be able to enter what you've received. So let's say in this instance, we've received the whole payment. So that's been saved and marked as paid. So obviously our team currency is GBP, but the project itself was in euros, so everything is being translated. So if you do have any projects that are being, in any other currencies, you're going to be able to have the numbers directly in GBP. But if you want to see the project currency itself with the invoice we've made, you can go ahead and change that here. So yeah, that's the invoicing tab. Then you've got the costs tab. So that's something that's going to include the hours of your collaborators which have worked on the projects, any expenses linked to the project itself, and you're going to be able to see basically a whole overview of what your spendings are on this particular project. Then you have the finance tab, where you can see the salaries, costs. It's the whole finances linked to the project itself. And then you've got kind of a CRM part where you can add any contacts, any work logs, files, any notes, any particular emails, which you can add in this tab, but that's going to be only for the project itself. So that's anything related to the projects, and then you're going to be able to do that with each project so that it's clearly organized. The file tab is quite useful because it's kind of a Dropbox. Obviously, it's not just like Dropbox because everything remains online, but you can easily save files here, and there's a very big permission system, so you can choose who can access the files or not. That's something I'm going to also be explaining later down the line. But yeah, that's what a project tab looks like all in all. Then you've got obviously your collaborators tab. So that's where you're going to be able to invite any collaborator and add them to a team. So you just enter their information. And then you're going to be able to give them a role. So here we have some example roles. So we've got manager, project manager, and we can just go ahead and put them wherever we want as easily as that. You can also change them from one role to another. And here you're going to be able to manage the roles, and then you're going to be able to manage the permissions of each role in the settings. You're also going to be able to add any skills if you want to give any skills to any of your collaborators. That's something you're able to do here. Then you've got the schedule tab. So that's where you're going to be able to see what each of your collaborators are working on. So you've got, for example, Adrien here. I know that he's working on Jerry's offices on the synthesis plan, and he's been working for 6.2 hours a day. And so you're going to be able to have a good overview of what's happening with your collaborators. And then here you can have the same overview, but in terms of your projects, that's what we've seen in the project tab, but here it gives you an overview of all of your projects. So yeah, and then you have some filters where you can see per collaborator, per role, per project tag. So you've got those filters if you want to narrow down your search. Then you've got the time tab. So that's where your collaborators are going to be able to enter any hours which they would have spent on a project. So let's say, for instance, that I've been working on the London hotel this week. I've worked 5 hours on Monday, 2 on Wednesday, 1 on Thursday, and 6 on Friday. And you can also add any notes, and you Also can say which phase you've worked on. So obviously we don't have any so on that particular project, which is the housing Paris, and we are going to choose the project study phase and the project study phase, and we're going to go ahead and save it here, and it's going to appear as a draft. Then I just submit it. And then let's say I'm not an admin, I'm just a usual collaborator, an architect, and obviously so that's been sent for review. And then you as an admin, you will find in the validation tab my hours here. So you're just checking that Charles has indeed worked 5 hours on Monday on Housing Paris and 2 on Wednesday and 6 on Friday. And if that's all good, you just click here and you go ahead and mark it as valid. So just going back to the time tab, I've got my time here, which has now been validated. You can also enter any time off in OOTI. So you just request your time off over here. So that's obviously something that's can be quite useful if you've been using any software for that. That's something that's included in OOTI. And all of that will be entered in the calendar. So any time which has been spent, so here you can see my hours. If I enter any time off, this will also appear here. So that can be quite useful. That's the week view, but you also have the monthly view and the yearly view if needed. So that can be quite useful. If you're going on any trips, work-related trips, you're going to be able to create it, and it's going to associate it to a project. So let's say the Norman Hotel, going on a trip from the 20th until the 27th. I'm going to save it. So here I have my London hotel trip, and then whenever I enter any expenses report, I can then link it to the trip. And it's also going to appear in the calendar itself. So here you have perhaps trips here. Since trips are not included in the calendar. So then we've got our expenses report. So if you need to create an expenses report, you can do it here. We also have a mobile app, where you're going to be able to create your expenses report directly on your phone, scan your ticket or your receipt, and the software is going to detect automatically all of the information which is in your receipt, and it's going to pre-fill all of the fields to see if there's any changes that needs to be made. That's something you can do. So let's say London trip. And then here you're going to be able to add your expenses. So you're going to be able to add your receipt here, and then the information is going to be filled automatically. And then if you have any mileage, that's something you can add as well. And then once you've done all of your expenses, entered all of the detail, you can just click submit draft. And that's going to send the information for validation that we've just seen here. That has to be validated as well by an admin. You're also going to be able to enter all of your colleagues' contracts. So that's what I was mentioning earlier, where you're going to be able to see what each of your colleague is costing you per hour. So that's where the time tab is coming into kind of is being quite interesting, because then you're going to be able to see how many hours you've allocated to each project and how much it has cost you. So that's the payroll tab, where you'll be able to enter all the information. Here you have the overheads, budgeted overheads. And then if you have any data which you need to export, you can do that here. Obviously, there's all of your data which you enter into OOTI, you can export it. So it's not only for the costs. Any project related data, you can just here click the data tab, new export, and you can absolutely export every information which you have entered into OOTI. So your data always remains yours, and at any time you're able to extract it from OOTI. So we've seen the validation tab where you're going to be able to validate the time off, expenses report, and any invoices. Then here, so here we're just going to find basically what we've been through in the project tabs, but it will bring together all of the projects. So here you'll have an overview of all the costs, all of the invoices, all of the finances, and any reports which you need to make can also be found here. So here you'll have the overview of your costs, any contractors you can find here, all of your expenses will appear here, same for the payroll, with all of the projects, same for the overheads, and if you need to make any reports. Invoices, so same thing here. You're going to be able to see the overview of your revenue, your client revenue. If you have anything unpaid or late, you can find here. You also have your revenue by project, your planned revenue. Anything that's late is going to be in red. Here, this needs to be paid. It's not marked as late yet. If you click on it, you can see that you've received partial payments. Here, if you click on it, you can see by how many days it is late. So it's 14 days overdue. So yeah, that gives you a clear overview of your invoices. The planning is quite a good thing to have. Here you will find all of the invoices that are currently being processed. So any open invoices, anything which needs to be sent. Then you can just go ahead and send the follow-up. So if you connected your email, you can just click here and send the email directly to your client. Here you'll see all of the payments which you have received, the list of your clients, and any exports if you need to do so. You can also do so from here. Finances, here you'll have an overview of your finances. You can, here same thing, you have the view of your finances by year. You can go back into the time and see what has been happening throughout the years. Then you have your revenue tab, where you can see your revenue and your projected revenue throughout the month. And then here, same as what we've seen in the invoice part, but in terms of here, you're just going to see you actually see the same revenue by project as we've seen in the invoice tab. And then here you've got all of your costs split up through the payroll, subcontractors, overheads, expenses reports, and then any income through your projects will also appear here. Here you're going to be able to download any reports as well, and then you can schedule some reports which you would like to receive on the regular. That's something you can do. Here you will find your contacts, so that's something which you would have added in the projects which I mentioned earlier. So you can absolutely save your contacts, contractors, and clients here. So if you need to go back and find a certain type of data, that's something that you can do. You can also assign tasks to your collaborators here. So if you need them to do anything in particular, that's absolutely doable in YouTube. Then if you have any notes which you want to keep, that's also something you can do. And then you've got a blog, where you're able to post anything that people will see internally. So yeah, if there is anything at all you want to post, it's absolutely doable here. And then you're going to have your notification tab. So that's where if you have any task which is assigned to you or anything that's overdue, that's where you will find your notifications as well as right here. So then just like to show you the permission system. So that's going to be in collaborators permissions. So that's where you're going to be able to create your permissions. So that's here. Someone is going to be helping you when you set up your account with OOTI to set up your permissions as well as you'd like, and it's really very well. You can really customize it as much as you like. You can see here what's doable with the permissions, and you can make it different with each role, obviously. And then what's also great with OOTI is that you're going to be able to create different entities. So let's say that you have two agencies, one in London and one in Dublin, for example, and the whole invoicing is completely separate, but still you still have some collaborators which are working together on the same project. So you can just add a different team and enter all of the information related to that particular team. And then here you're going to have another tab which appears and says basically to switch from one entity to the other. So that can be very useful in certain cases. So obviously what I've been through today is a rather quick overview of what OOTI can offer, but it still gives you a good idea of what we do and the capabilities of OOTI. Obviously, when you are going to be onboarded on the OOTI, you will have an expert who's going to be helping you to make sure that you use the full extent of the software. So obviously, do not worry about the onboarding on OOTI, because that's something that's being taken care of by our customer success team. So yeah, I hope this demo has given you good insight into OOTI. And obviously, if you do have any questions whatsoever, you can go ahead and contact myself. Also, we have our live chat, which is on the bottom right of the web app, where you can just ask any questions which you might have to our customer success team, which usually reply within a few hours. And then yeah, we would be more than happy to help with any questions which you might have. For your information as well, there is a 2-week free demo period on OOTI, so you can use the full capability of the software for free for 2 weeks. So if you want to have a look around OOTI, see how it works for yourself, that's absolutely doable with OOTI. So yeah, I hope this has been helpful for all of you, and I hope to see you soon on OOTI. Thank you very much. Have a good one. Bye bye.